Welcome back to the Armor of God series. Today, we're talking about the shield of faith. And a warrior carries his shield for the sake of the entire line. In Ephesians chapter 6, it tells us that in addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. And we know that the shield of faith is our protection. It's as big as your faith. So you really want to come and get deep in your faith. You think about it, there's a lot of things that go into our lives that rob us of our faith. When you think about your bills, when you think about your kids, when you think about work, when you think about the person that gets on your nerves the most, there's a lot of different things, different challenges that we need to go after, uh, putting up that shield of faith so we can protect ourselves from what Satan's attacks are. So we're going to look at three things to help us to be prepared for the battle. And so number one is defend against doubt and temptation. And so when it comes to doubt and temptation, a lot of times we become our own worst enemy. We look at a situation, we think, God would never put me through this. When really God's trying to empower you and build your faith through it. I don't know about you, but I've prayed on many times for God to make me more patient. And as I pray to become more patient, God gives me a lot of tests to test my patience. And the scripture that comes to mind to this is James chapter 1. It says, but when you ask, you must believe and not doubt. Because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. And so, as you look at this in your scriptures and you ask God to help you to grow in a certain way or to build your faith or to mature, He gives you a challenge to help you to overcome it. Just like when you go to the gym and you work out and you're trying to get a new personal record, you got to keep increasing the weight or increasing the reps or moving faster to get a quicker time. I think about when I was trying to deadlift 200 pounds. The first time I did it, I was ecstatic, but it took a lot of work to get there because I did not have the proper form when I first started. I didn't have the proper strength because I just had never done it. But when I got to the victory, it was exciting, and it really changed my perspective on what hard work looks like and how my faith comes to be exactly what's needed as we work on it. It's not something that's just gonna magically appear. This takes us to number two: trust in God's promises. Because when we have a foundation or a base in God's promise, then we come to realize that God has amazing plans for us. And there's going to be a lot of things that He does for us when our faith gets to the requisite level. I think about the picture of the little girl who has this torn up, tattered doll. And Jesus is trying to take it from her and hand her a brand new one. He's like, hey, trust me. And a lot of times we hang on to this old tattered doll instead of trusting that God has an amazing plan for us. That He's going to give us something better, not because we deserve it, but because we have the faith that's going to take us to that next level. So we can not only be impacted ourselves, but impact those around us and protect those on the line, like we said earlier. And in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, the scriptures tell us faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance of what we cannot see. And so having that faith is not about what has happened in the past. It's not about how we've seen God bless others. It's about that our trust and our relationship with God. And so when we surrender it, our control, when we give it up and we give it to God, now we're able to trust in those promises. And if you're liking what you're hearing right now, if it's building you up, if you're feeling edified, please to make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to tell me how you need to grow in your shield of faith and where you need some help. And make sure that you get the notes from down below because I have all of this on the Google Doc for you to download and study out yourself. And this brings us to our last point is that your faith needs to be alive and active. Because if our faith is not alive and active, then we start to believe anything, and then we start to get taken out of a lot of different situations. See, it requires that we look at the scriptures and we apply them to our lives. And this is why we're looking at James chapter 2 and verse 17. It says, in the same way, faith by itself is not, if not accompanied by action, is dead. And I love this so much because as an athlete, of any sport, you can look at someone who's talking a lot, and once you see them play, you know exactly how talented they really are or how untalented they are. I think about when I go to a basketball court and I see guys who come and a torn up t-shirt, some slides that look like they've had them for a few years too many, and they got a basketball and they have a backpack with their shoes in it. I'm like, I want that guy on my team. I already know he can hoop. And then you have the guy who comes who looks super nice, has a brand new jersey on, some fresh new shoes, walking up in the shoes, and you're just like, no, I can't. I don't want him on my team because you can tell who's been tested and who's about the battle versus who's about the looks and the story. And so I really want to encourage you today, go after having an active faith, a faith that really builds up your shield so that you can protect not only yourself, but those around you. Thank you so much. Let's grow in this together. Let's have a full life so that we can help others have a full life. God bless.